All right, hey everybody, welcome to our live. It's Halloween, Thursday at 6. Allegheny Immigration Group, our weekly immigration live on our Allegheny Immigration Group Facebook page. I'm Joe Murphy. I'm a lawyer with Allegheny Immigration Group. My practice is primarily family and humanitarian immigration. Our telephone number is 412-521-2000, and you can reach me on my cell, text, or WhatsApp. They're all the same number, 412-973-3442. And don't hesitate to reach out to me with your immigration questions or problems. That's what I do for a living, and I'm happy to do it. Let me turn this music off, and we'll get into the show. So I do ask that you please like and share our videos and our page, and refer friends. If you have friends that have immigration need, this show's available as a resource to them. You can ask questions. There's no charge to watch, to learn things, to even get your own questions asked, and I don't mind doing that, so I'm here for that purpose. Premiums. Okay, we're running low on the giveaways, particularly the t-shirts. I've got a new group of t-shirts on order. I know some of you have asked for different sizes and things. That should be about a week. I just spoke with the company that manufactures those for us. And we use 4Imprint. They're a company that makes corporate premiums and giveaways. They're nice things. Obviously, we try and get that stuff out, and we ask that you share that too. All right. So, let's see. We have some local elections going on November 5th. Let's talk about naturalization. I've had a lot of work on that lately. There's a lot of pressure on people. A lot of people want to have that citizenship. That's the process by which you become a citizen is called being naturalized. And that's a naturalized citizen. A naturalized citizen has the exact same rights as any other citizen. It's not a special second-class category or anything like that. It's full rights and privileges of any other citizen. To be naturalized, you have to be a green card holder for 5 years. You have to, not misbehave in that time. You have to have most of that time in the United States. 5 years is 60 months. 30 of those months have to be in the United States. So you could be out of the United States theoretically for up to half of that 5-year period before you apply to be naturalized. But it's 30 of the 60 months before you apply, you have to be in the United States. And this is something Sammy's aware of because he helped me on a case like this. Even though you have less than or more than the 30 months that you need to have in the United States to get naturalized, any extended stays out of the country, even if they don't go over 30 months, can be a problem. Any stay over 6 months outside the United States before you apply for citizenship can cause that to be denied. Now that's the bad news, but you can wait. So if you have a lot of time out of the country and maybe you waited another couple months, it trails behind you. So that's one method of solving it. Another method, and this is what we saw in a recent case, this particular person was aware of the 6-month rule. She knew that it was 6 months, but she had a sick mother overseas. I think it might have been Russia or Ukraine. So she would go and visit and care for her mother, and she would keep every trip just right at the edge of 6 months, like this much. And she recently applied for naturalization, and there were some problems with that. So she's got a couple moves here, but one of them is to wait it out. That period does trail. Another move is to contact your local politician and ask for some help, reference, or even call in. But if you're over those numbers, well, then you're definitely going to have trouble. So once again, the rule is that to become a naturalized citizen, one of them, obviously, is that you have to have been a permanent resident of the United States for the last 5 years. And 5 years is 60 months. You have to have spent at least 30 of those months in the United States. So you could spend 30 out, but none of those should be extended stays out. Particularly any even one stay of 6 months or more can cause trouble with your getting your naturalization. So that's the first rule. The second rule is you have to have basically good conduct during that time. You can't be doing murder during those 5 years. They're not going to let you become a citizen. Minor offenses, traffic tickets, even at something like a DUI where no one got hurt, probably wouldn't cause a problem. So there's those two requirements. And then the other requirement is that you take and pass a naturalization test, which generally is a pretty straightforward thing. The tests, I've been to a couple of them, they're about 15 minutes long. There's two parts. One is that you have to be able to read, write, and speak the English language. And they test that by doing things like handing you a piece of paper with a sentence printed on it and asking you to read it out loud. And then in the alternate, they say something to you and ask you to write it down. So that's reading, writing, and understanding the English language. That usually takes like a couple of minutes. The bigger one, and the one that a lot of people worry about, is what's called the civics portion of the test, and that's where you have to demonstrate a working knowledge of the United States, our government, and how it works, and things of that nature. There are 100 possible questions you can be asked, and we have them all. We have the actual questions and the answers. If anybody wants it, just send us a note in our Allegheny Immigration Group inbox. We'll be happy to send you a guide to naturalization and even the very questions and answers. But they're only going to ask you 10 of the 100 questions. They're picked at random, and you only have to get 6 of them right, so it's 60%. And if you get 6 right, they stop asking questions, so that's pretty good. So like I said, most people are in and out of there in 15 minutes tops. Now there's a waiting period before it, and I'm not talking about the 5 years that you had to be a permanent resident. When you get to the USCIS testing center, there's probably other people taking their test that day, and you may have to wait for them in front of you. If you have a kid with you, you want to make a child, that is, you want to have arrangements to have someone else there with you to watch that child while you're taking the test. If you pass those tests, you have the 5 years, you don't have too much time outside of the country, you haven't done any significant crimes during those 5 years, you're able to read, write, and speak the English language, and you're able to get 6 out of 10 civics questions correct, they will schedule a naturalization ceremony. And that's actually where you go with a group of people before officials of USCIS. You're proposed as new Americans, and you're sworn in. And people raise their right hand and swear to support, defend, and uphold the Constitution of the United States. After that's done, that day you'll get a naturalization certificate. You will be a new citizen of the United States. People sometimes get partying after naturalization ceremonies and lose them. So when I go with a client to a naturalization ceremony, I usually take out my phone and take a nice high-resolution photo of it just in case they lose it. That would capture the number and things. And on that point, there'll be a lot of people in that ceremony with you if you go for naturalization that also have high-resolution phones and are taking a lot of pictures. They could accidentally pick up your certificate, even your name and naturalization number. So you want to be careful about posting that on social media and or waving that around. Naturalization, for the most part, for us as the lawyers, it's not very hard work. We help you count up the months, make sure you don't have too many months outside. We might give you a study guide or two, tell you where to go and when to be there, but it's not a big job for us. We charge $500 to help people with their application for naturalization. We don't run tutoring classes or anything in that price. We can do that if it's wanted. It's generally not wanted, but that's it. Our legal fee's $500. I believe I checked today, and it's $635 or $640, the actual fee to apply for naturalization. So the whole thing's about $1135. Those fees are always going up, so I can't predict what they'll be in the future. They're going up all the time now. But that's what's going on now. We're seeing a lot of work in the naturalization space, and I don't blame them. Who knows what the future holds? They start doing all these things like the public charge rule, where they deny people the right to change their status based on the use of immigration benefits in the past. Now, I see a couple people in the room. If anybody has any immigration questions, if anything's on your mind, if you've got an immigration problem yourself, I'm here to answer your questions. Feel free to ask. We were just talking about the requirements to be naturalized. And again, those are 5 years as a permanent resident. During that 5 years, no really long periods of time outside the United States. Okay, so there's a question there. Which process, sir? Olal is asking, how long is the process? The process of naturalizing? Maybe you want to clarify that. Yes, good. I mean, well, I'll keep talking. Maybe you want to type that question up, make it more clear. So you have to become a permanent resident. That means get a green card, and that's the status is a permanent resident of the United States when you have a green card. You have to be in that status for 5 years, and then at the end of that 5-year period, you have to have been in the United States for at least 30 of those 60 months. And even though you could be out for 30 months, no one stay should be more than 6 months, because that will really cause a problem. And their concern is that you're not really transplanted. You didn't really set down roots, if you're always in and out of the country. At the same time, people who are naturalizing are not natives of this country and may have significant contacts, friends, needs at home, family. I gave the example earlier of a lady that I'd worked with who had an ailing mother in Russia and spent a lot of time over there during her permanent residency, and that did ultimately cause trouble for her in the process. We're working it out for her now. But there's 5 years in the permanent resident status, and then you can apply. Again, not too much time outside the country, no more than 30 months total, no individual stay over 6 months, no significant crimes during that 5 years, and DUIs or speeding tickets wouldn't count, but something like a rape, arson, certainly some of the more outrageous crimes like terrorism or human trafficking would all cause a problem in that way. And then you have to take the 2 tests. That's the ability to read, write, and speak English, and then the ability to answer 6 out of 10 questions about our government correctly, and then you'll be scheduled for a naturalization interview. Now, sometimes that takes a while between when you've passed and when that interview comes up. Now, there's another question coming in. Why specifically 30 out of 60 months, not more? Okay. Well, again, that's 30 out of 60 is half. Permanent resident, it was envisioned as a sort of a status in between non-citizen and citizen, and almost like a honeymoon period or something of that nature. The idea here was that you'd be in our country, you'd be kind of moving in, putting down roots, making friends, family, maybe marrying people, adopting our values. It's designed as an assimilative period. Some people don't want to become American citizens. They don't have to. They can stay permanent resident forever. They have to renew their card. I believe once it's unconditional every 10 years. But the idea was that this is a way to become a citizen. So if you don't want to be a citizen, you can go in and out all you want on your permanent resident card, as long as you have, with your permanent resident card, a machine-readable, unexpired passport from your home country. But if you're going to want to become a citizen, they're going to want you to have used your permanent resident period to kind of attach yourself to the United States. And they ask that you do about half your time here, and in that time, you don't do any serious crimes, and you learn about our history, our Constitution, our language. There's another question coming in. Shouldn't they want to see you here in the United States longer than 30 months? Well, they could. They could make that decision. Again, when you're dealing with people that are permanent residents, they're not citizens of the United States yet. They're citizens of some other foreign country. They may have family there. They may have connections there. They may need to go back there to do different things, close down businesses or whatever they're doing. I mean, these are people that had a life in another country before they came here. So there has to be that tension. Why not more? Why not less? I mean, how much do we really need? Once they've gone through all the steps to become a permanent resident, what do we really need? So they figure over a period of 5 years, if you're willing to spend at least half of your time in this country, that is the idea, that's enough time for you to really be adapting our values and learning about who we are and what it really means to be an American. And that, of course, differing people have different views on what that means, but I think understanding that differing people have different views on what that means is part of what it means. So, okay. So I think that's probably responsive to the question. All right, let's see, there's another question. This one. What would be the basis for a permanent card getting revoked? Okay, that's cool. There's a whole bunch of ways that can be done. There are certain crimes that are very, very serious, that, or at least to immigration law, they're called aggravated felonies. You can see those in section 101. If you're convicted of these crimes, you would be inadmissible to the United States. They wouldn't. In many cases, they would throw you out if you're already in. And those are really outrageous things. Again, sabotage, terrorism, kidnapping, human or weapons trafficking, of trying to violently overthrow the government. Interestingly, certain types of fraud, where it's over $10,000. Conviction of multiple crimes, even if they're in one offense, multiple convictions that total more than 5 years in prison is on that list. But then there's other sorts of things, just the general categories of inadmissibility. There are, I think, 8 grounds of inadmissibility in the Immigration Nationality Act. The big ones are, well, the biggest one is health grounds. If you have these horrible infectious diseases, you're inadmissible. Included in health grounds are people that have drug or alcohol addictions. They're inadmissible under the health ground. There's the public charge ground, people that wouldn't be able to support themselves here in the United States without significant government help are inadmissible. We have our own people that need our government's help. People that have lied to the immigration authorities in the past, those are all inadmissible. People who've overstayed in the past or already been deported, they're inadmissible. So those are some of the grounds for a green card getting revoked. There's a lot of different things going into it. I mean, there's a proposal floated, I believe this week I read about, where they're going to say that people are not admissible to the United States unless they have health coverage. And that's like, wow, it blew my mind. We could talk about the relative morality or wickedness of that, but the rule is that's what they're proposing. Now, again, there's public comment on that. It's open for public comment right now, I believe. So if you wanted to comment on it, you could comment to me, but that's not going to get you anything. But you could comment to them, and they are responsive to public comments. So if you have strong feelings about this one way or another, you might want to stop by the USCIS website. It's uscis.gov, and look at this proposed legislation and put your, so to speak, 2 cents in. You're an American citizen or permanent resident or someone entitled to comment. I don't even think those are required. I think anybody in this country can comment. I think anybody with an internet connection can comment. So you might want to do it. Look at my nice Allegheny immigration coffee cup. So we're talking about inadmissibility, public charge rule, things of that nature. Sammy's been asking questions. I think one other viewer had a question. I hope I answered that responsibly. If I did not, you can ask again. And I do ask that you guys like and share these videos. I'm live right now. I'm in my house. This is Halloween of 2019. So I don't know. I think we're not going to be trick-or-treating tonight. It's a pretty heavy rainstorm here in Pittsburgh. But they moved a lot of the Halloween festivities to tomorrow. But I asked that you like and share these videos. I will probably download a copy of this video later tonight. And, oh, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for sharing our video. You know, tune in. We're here every Thursday at 6. I'll answer your questions, and I'll try and be patient and as thorough as possible. And to the rest of you, this will be on tonight. By tomorrow, I'll probably have put titles on it. I put nice things and re-upload it. So it'll be a much slicker presentation tomorrow, much more like a regular television show or podcast. But do share, all right? Because we're a small firm. We need your support. Refer your friends. If you have friends who have immigration situations, immigration concerns, immigration, even plans that they're considering, this is a free resource for them, and I want to do that. There's a lot of straight up BS out there. There's a lot of public manipulation, the politicians, some of it's right, some of it's straight up lies. Oh, my office contact information. Just send me a direct message now on Messenger with yours, and I'll have somebody reach out to you and give you all that contact information after the show. But anyway, if you have people with questions, just like this gentleman here, I'm happy, very, very happy to do that, because I can help the people of the immigration world, right? And that includes advocates, that includes people with immigration needs, or people who care about immigration needs, or people who just care about immigrants. I can at least do my part to help you have an organized and logical understanding of what all this means. In many cases, it's not quite as sinister as it seems. In some cases, it's even worse. I will always tell you what I believe to be the absolute truth, and I won't make stuff up. I have no agenda other than practicing law. I'm a lawyer with Allegheny Immigration Group, and doing my weekly live, which I try and promote health and happiness around this mental health subject. Okay, so again, we're running low on premiums right now. We do have a lot of the, they're like a nice plastic beer stein. If anybody needed those, somebody with a house needed some cups or something like that, we'll provide those to you. We'll ship them to you free of charge. The shirts that we have are, I think there's a bunch of smalls and there's a couple mediums left. There are coffee cups. There are nice little string backpacks. I will intersperse pictures of all this stuff into this video later. You can see them on our premiums and signups. That's on the Allegheny Immigration Group Facebook page. There's a post there. You can just click it and it'll take you to an intake form. If you give us your information, as soon as I get them from the marketing company, I will be shipping out Allegheny Immigration Group stuff, swag, gifts really, to anybody who asks for them. This started over the summer. There was a really neat thing that the city of Pittsburgh did, and that's where my practice is primarily located. We have a large and very diverse, and always have, city here. There's people from all over the world. The average day in Pittsburgh, I can easily speak 7 different languages. We have Chinese communities, with Polish communities. We have a big Russian American community. We have communities that I had people from Nepal in my office yesterday. So there's people from all over the world here. We have world-class universities. We're not quite a sanctuary city, but we're very open to that because we were always very highly represented with these diverse populations. So we have these new immigrant populations in Pittsburgh now, and the city very wisely, in my estimation, through a series of events in late summer called the International and Immigrant Communities Festival, and there was all sorts of neat stuff. There's videos of it, again, on the Allegheny Immigration Group Facebook page if you want to scroll down. This was in September. We had a nice table out there, and that's when we originally started giving out the premiums. There was balloons, there was T-shirts, there was all sorts of nice things. We still have some of that, but we're running out. It's out. Oh, look at that, we lost the network connection. It was very popular, the festival and the premium giveaways. So we'll be ordering more, and we'll be shipping to those of you who've asked for things and haven't got it. It is not exactly declared. Sammy's asking if Pittsburgh is a sanctuary city. I wouldn't say that. I don't think that it's quite the declared sanctuary city that some of the other places I practice are. For example, San Francisco. Pittsburgh itself has not declared itself a sanctuary city. We still have some rule of law here. Our district attorney's office is run by a guy named Steven Zappala. He's a very nice guy. He's been to my house. He will, like if I have immigrant clients who've been victims of crime, that office has been quite willing to support them, even to the point of issuing crime victim visas so that they can stay and testify and see justice done to their attacker. But I don't believe our city has declared itself a sanctuary city. The cities that are like truly these sanctuary cities, they're very proud of it. And they really do go out of their way to almost, depending upon, again, where you come in on this subject, to thumb their nose at the federal government. But no, we're not a sanctuary city to my knowledge. So we had talked about some of these things, the Allegheny immigration giveaways, the requirements for naturalization. Sammy had some great questions. I do encourage you guys to share this, all right? There are people you know. If you have an interest in immigration, it's probably because someone you yourself or someone you love or care about or are close with may have immigration needs or concerns or problems. Now, I'm a lawyer. I work at Allegheny Immigration Group. I do family and humanitarian immigration stuff. You can call me. My office is 412-521-2000. My personal cell, text, and WhatsApp are all the same number. That's 412-973-3442. But this show, I specifically make it available for people who've got questions. I will be right here next Thursday. So if you have someone who has a question, maybe doesn't feel like going into a lawyer's office or doesn't want to pay a consult fee, you can get it for free here. But the general requirements, again, and maybe this will answer the question because it looked like it was a question about naturalization for a French citizen. I read as much as to the pull. It said I've been here for 20 years, and then the little bubble disappeared off the screen. The requirements are that you have been a permanent resident for at least 5 years, that in the 5 years before you apply for naturalization, that you have spent at least 30 of those 60 months physically present in the United States, that none of these trips outside the United States are for longer than 6 months. Okay, so they don't want you going out for a year at a time. Those will cause trouble. The other requirements are that during your period of permanent residence, that you haven't done any serious crimes. If you've lived normally during that period of time, you probably would have picked up the final requirement, which is the ability to read, write, and speak English and basic knowledge of American history and politics. There's a short test. It usually takes about 15 minutes. You have to demonstrate your ability to read, write, and speak English. And that's accomplished by asking you to do things like write it. They'll say a sentence and ask you to write it. They'll show you a sentence and ask you to read it out loud. That demonstrates your ability to read, write, and understand the English language. Then they'll give you what's called a civics test. And that is, there's 100 possible questions they can ask. I have a list of all the questions and all the approved answers. Anybody wants it, send me a note right in the Allegheny Immigration Book page, and I'll be happy to ship that to you. But out of those 100 possible questions, they select 10 at random, and you only have to get 6 right. And if you do get 6 right, they'll end it right there and tell you you've passed. After you've passed that, a month or so will go by, and you will get a notice that a naturalization ceremony has been scheduled. You'll have time to get ready for that, but when it's time, you'll go to the office in Pittsburgh. The office is in a part of the town called Monroeville. In other cities, it's a USCIS office. And a representative of the federal government will propose your admission as new citizens. It's a very emotional ceremony. The last one I went to, I believe, was in July. I've got another one coming up. I'm getting naturalization for another citizen probably in a couple weeks. I'll shoot some video and put it on the page, and you'll see it. It's really emotional. People really have a good time there. It's a great day. I warn people because they'll be given their naturalization certificate that day to be careful not to post pictures on the internet where their naturalization certificate might be visible. Modern cameras have incredibly high resolution. People can blow that up and steal your identity, enlarge it. So try and not put your naturalization certificate on social media. You might want to take a picture of it just in case you lose it, so you don't lose the, you know the number and you have proof that you ever had it. But it's a pretty straightforward process. And again, somebody had asked what I charge, what are the fees for a naturalization. The lawyer's part is not that big. It's drafting, preparing, filing, getting your signature on an application for naturalization, scheduling the ceremony, some other miscellaneous stuff. We charge $500 for the legal work. I believe the filing fee, we don't get that goes to the government. I believe the filing fee on an application for naturalization right now is $630. I could be wrong. It could be $100 one way or another. But you can rest assured they're going up. I've been noticing that a lot of immigration-related filing fees have been skyrocketing, and the prices are going up. We're also coming at this kind of at a point in time where the service is doing what they call their biennial, that's every 2-year review of the filing fees they charge. And I think everything's going up. There's a lot more demand on the system, and it's a simple matter of supply and demand. But I hope if our friend from France doesn't, if you want, I'll try and get back to you after the show, but I hope maybe that was responsive anyway. Again, my name is Joe Murphy. I'm a lawyer with Allegheny Immigration Group here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My practice is primarily family and humanitarian immigration. Our telephone number is 412-521-2000. My personal cell phone, which is also usable for text and WhatsApp communication, is 412-973-3442. If you don't have WhatsApp, I encourage you to get it. It's a lot of fun, and it's a really great communication platform. It's very good for what I do. It's encrypted, it's international, and it's free. So take a look. It's an application you can download. It's called WhatsApp, WHATSAPP. And you can do what I did. You can have the same phone number on WhatsApp as you have on your regular phone. I ask you like, share, even tell friends about these lives. As I said earlier, I try and make myself available here to promote sanity, because there's a lot of insanity being promoted in the immigration space, primarily by some immoral political types. But there's a lot to that. And if we can be one voice of sanity and help some people not live in fear or not be as afraid, that's probably worth it in itself. But in the meantime, I am running a business, so I ask that you share these. I do these also a little bit for a commercial purpose. I'm trying to make a buck. I've got a wife and kids. So if you need immigration work, again, I'm accessible. The type of practice that I do is what's sometimes called concierge service. I'm available on text message. If I'm awake, I'll respond to client questions. And that's a very nice thing for people to get quick answers without having to come into town. I also come out of the office and meet people. You have communities where people can't drive. All over Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, some Ohio. We also have satellite practices in Minneapolis, Seattle, and San Francisco. So I get around, one of the Beach Boys here. But I'm available. People call me all the time, and you can too. Call, text, or WhatsApp. Again, my personal number is 412-973-3442. Please like and share these videos. I'm Joe Murphy from Allegheny Immigration Group. Happy Holidays.